Okay, Mohammed Taki, can you introduce you about yourself and what what's your background, your IT background, and yeah, and do you know anything about application and system integration?
Yeah. So basically, my IT background is that I've done my BTech from KJ Somaya in 2019. Later on, I joined Accenture as a software developer, and over there, I was working for a product like client. Okay, so they have a kind of website like Amazon, and the orders come in. There is order management system which takes the order and sends it to the warehouse management system to dispatch it. So the integration layer, we were there for as a software developer, we had coded for them. So
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
that's
that's good. What
yeah.
what tools did you use for the integration? Did you was it Microsoft based or was it MuleSoft? Was it Azure Functions, Logic
Yes.
Apps? Yeah.
So we had used basically IBM MQ functions. So message queuing, right?
Yep. Yep.
So yeah. So whatever
Okay.
happens, yeah, it comes to the queue, stays there until the next application is ready to pick it. So that makes sure that the message is not lost in between from point A to B. So that
Okay. Cool.
was
Yep. Yep. Okay. Cool. 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 All right. Well, I'll start with the presentation.
Mhm.
That was a good introduction, Mohammed Taki. Thanks for that. I'll start with the presentation. So, let me just share. Just one second. Hold on. Let me just stop it here for a second. Let me just share my screen again. All right. So, basically, today's topic is about application and system integration. All right. So I'm Murtaza Hassan from, or Taz is my nickname, from Bizload Solution. And yeah, this is our website details, Bizload Solutions. We're Australian-based IT consulting company. All right. Now, I'll go into detail. So let me just start the slideshow. And basically, yeah. So what is application and system integration? So one example is two or more websites or applications, such as like Microsoft Excel, talking to each other and communicating with each other. Okay. So that's just a good example, a good nutshell example of what is application and system integration. You can define it more with this, I understand, but this is one example of system and application integration. All right. Now, approaches in application and system integration. So first we have so there's a couple of approaches you can use. One is the ETL, where you copy a data from Excel sheet to a website. So that's a once-off. You can do once-off copy, and you can use tools such as SSIS for that. Not sure if you've heard about that, Mohammed Aki, but yeah. And then you can use the ETL tool as well for copying data to website on a continuous basis. So what will happen is that Excel um, file we can be landed in a folder like on a continuous basis, and when it's in that folder, the integration tool will detect that, and then it will upload that file into the website, right? So this is obviously generally developing integration applications is not a one-day job. It takes time. Generally it can be a one-day job, but it depends on the complexity. But generally it takes a bit of time. It depends how complex the integration is. All right. So okay. Now, another approach to application system integration is almost near real-time data sync between two applications. So you guys probably would have heard that, like you, for example, I'll give you an example that you how would you say, you save the data, or you did some registration or something, or something like that, or let me give an example. In one application, you have um a some data created, and you want it to automatically, or somewhere down the system, not you, but maybe you yourself, or the system itself would want to create that data somewhere in another system. And usually that maximum should be like a 1 hour delay, but generally it's need to real-time syncing. So if you insert data on one website, it can insert data on another website. So that's another approach where it doesn't need real-time syncing. Not real-time. Real-time means if you insert it there, it should insert it to the other website straight away. So usually applications that can do that, but it can be done. But generally, within an hour, that data can be, synced to another website within an hour, right? So that's what need to real-time application syncing is. And then you can use data syncing tools such as connectors, such as Power Automate connectors, MuleSoft connectors, such as Dynamics 365 or SharePoint connectors, right? And then you have data sync using Web API and web server. So you can create your own custom Web API. So you use tools such as Azure Function or .NET Razor Web API. So you can code your own Web API, go that way as well. And then you have your data sync Web API with connectors. So you can create a Azure function, and you can upload that, for example, on a portal, on an Azure portal, and then you have a Web API on a public URL Web API, and then you can use tools like connectors such as MuleSoft or Power Automate Flow or Logic Apps to call that Web API, and then it can do things that way. So you can use data sync with Web APIs and connectors, and then you have the concept of overnight data syncing from systems. So for example, you want to you have a whole bunch of data, and you want it to sync with another website or another database, and instead of doing it real time, you might schedule it 3 in the morning every day. And what will happen, that data will get synced from every night, and then what happens in the next morning, you'll see that all the changes that were made in one system, it reflects in another system the next day when you start working, right? Now, also API integration architect. Just one second. This is the web. Sorry, let me just go back for a sec. This is a web API integration architect. This is a Microsoft version one, where for example, you might have your Active Directory, you might have your HTTP request, right? And you have your website portal, and then you have a Logic app, which is like a flow, like a workflow, and then you have your web service, your connectors, and on all of this. All right. And then how two websites communicate with each other. So one way is web API, one way is integration tools. So you can use tools such as MuleSoft, Logic Apps, Power Automate Flows, Build Boomi. You can code function generators, so like Azure Function and .NET Razor. So you can use these type of things for your web API connectors. Right, and now what is a good tool to use to test web API? So web API, a good tool to test web API is using Postman. Postman is a free tool that you can download from. You can post the web API URL here, and there's in the body you can post if it's data needs to be posted. There's two ways data can get posted. There's one is post request, one is get request, and then you can test the results on your Postman. So Postman is a very good web API test tool to use. And then your web API, you have your post and you have your get. So you have your post request here, and then you have your and then you can I'm sorry, your post request will go in the body as a JSON data. I'm not sure if you guys know about JSON data, but it's a way of format. It's a way of how data formats. For example, you might heard of CSV for data format or XML. So JSON is another one, and then you can do post and get requests for that. And then you have your Azure function web API with your, for example, for Visual Studio, so you can do your create your functions here. So this is just an example. There's code next to it, and you can code there that way. And then you can, as I said, you can upload your function, your web API to the Azure portal, and then you get a public-facing web URL. And then what you can do is, and an example of web API here is that there's a endpoint here, and there's a post and a get method. This is a example, and headers, and this is the JSON data, what the body, the data that you're posting. And then this is an example of calling a web API from a URL browser. So you can always call a web API from a website browser if it's implemented, and then you get a data like this. This is basically JSON data. So you have your field like ID, name, your fields. This is your field, and this is your value of the field. So these are your fields. These are the values of the fields. And this is like if there's multiple data return objects. So you have post. This is your third post that you're returning. So this is an example of web API. And then you have your Power Automate flow. So you basically, one example is that you can call a HTTP request and call a web API. And then what can happen there? And then you can get return data, and you can use that in other parts of your Power Automate flow and go from there. And then some of the tools that you can use here for system integration. Some tools you mentioned, Mohammed Taki, that you can use an IBM tool, but there's also tools like MuleSoft, Dell Boomi, Azure Logic Apps, Power Automate Flow, SQL Server, BizTalk, and Azure Functions. Right. And that's the end. Now, one thing I would like to let you know is, let me just stop sharing. Why would we use web API? Why would we use system integrations and application integration? Can one of you guys, do you know the answer for this? Any of you guys, Mohammed Taki, Abdurrahman, or Jamil, or Chef? Do you know why would we want two websites to communicate with each other? Any idea? Mohammed Taki, you guys want to have a guess? Anyone? Right. Okay. I'll tell you an example why. Okay. In a company that you work in, right? Or in an organization that you work in, you have multiple, they have multiple systems there, right? They don't have one system, they have multiple systems, right? They might have a Microsoft Office with SharePoint. They might have a Dynamics 365 environment. They might have a Salesforce environment. They might have many environments, right? Many applications, right? They might have Excel sheet that's sitting there, and they want to upload that to a website data or an application. So this is why you would use tools or concepts like application integration, where you want, for example, one record credit in one website or one application, and it should automatically credit in the next application. So this is why we would do application integration. So because companies itself, they use multiple systems and applications, and therefore maybe when you create a record in this system, they wanted to create a record in this system, and this is why you would use an application integration concept, and that's why integration is very famous. And here in Australia, if you're integration developer, you can earn some good money in terms of salary. And yeah, and it's really and it's really a niche skill to have. If you're an integration developer, um, there's a lot of jobs out there, right? So and and those type of things. So yeah, Mohammed Taki, can I get your feedback on I think you mentioned about a project that you worked on integration. Can any other feedback you have on system integration or anything like that? Um, or this webinar at all? Was it webinar handy? Was it useful? Did it give some information? Can I get your feedback, Mohammed Taki?
Yep. So yeah, the webinar was useful. So regarding the tools which I used, I told you, right? So MuleSoft and a few more others, Boomi and all, were new to me. So I got to know about them. And apart from that, Web API, we have worked on it, and we used to hit it via the Postman, whether it is a get method, post method, to get the results. And that was basically, if I tell you, it was for printing the labels of the customers when the shipment is going out for delivery. So that time we used to hit the API, get the details of customer, print it on that, then the sticker is stuck on that box, right? So the delivery man knows where to send it. So yeah, that was the one. And apart from that, regarding the integration between two systems, it was very good. And at times there are two systems which are working on two different languages or two different formats as well, right? As you told, JSON and XML. So the first application sends the message as a JSON, and the second requires as a XML and JSON. So that conversion also takes place in between. So yeah, that is there. Well, overall, it was
Yeah,
very good session. Yeah.
yeah. No. Thanks for that. Yeah, look, integrations, as I said, can happen in many ways. You have things called web service, you have things called web APIs, you have things called connectors. Why we have connectors is there's so many applications out there, and instead of using their web APIs all the time, it might cost a lot of time and effort, and time is money for a company. Therefore, um, therefore what a lot of these applications such as MuleSoft or Dell Boomi or Logic Apps or Power Automate Flow, they have connectors. So if you want to connect your data to, if you want to if you want to insert data, for example, to Salesforce or SharePoint or Microsoft Dynamics, you can go and use these connectors and go from there. So yeah. Abdul Rahim Khan, any feedback from you? Was this webinar helpful? What is your, do you have any experience with application integration, or do you want to learn application?
Uh, yeah, I've been working on the big data, so um, where uh, we get the data from the source system and transform them, and then we created different zones, uh, raw zones, a conform zone, and semantic zones. And in each zones, there is some orchestration. When the data landed in the RZs, it automatically go into the conform zone, and then we have got the reporting zone where we transform the data as per the business requirement. And then there are a lot of complicated scheduler where intra-day's job, inter-day's job, end of the day's job, and then there are the data dependencies. So we working on to like the big data, so Kafka, Spark, Hadoop, and stuff like that. So
Okay. Yeah, I know one friend of mine, he worked in a bank, And as you know, bank has a lot of data, transactions happening, all the time, right? So, and then if you think about system integration and these type of things, data migration, system integration, then you're thinking big, because it's definitely not a one-day job for something like a bank to do some integration, where it's a lot of data and very complex systems, and that's what makes application integration interesting and challenging at the same time, right? Where you might have a small application that just needs to do some small integration, or you might have a big application that requires very big complex understanding of the business, and it's not generally there might be a technical constraint. There might also be a business constraint, like for example, the business won't allow you to develop this way for certain reasons, right? So these are the things you need to consider as well when you're working in integrations. For if there's sometimes this happens where you can technically do it, but technically they don't want it. The business doesn't want it this way. They want it this other way, and you just got to go according to what the business wants. If we're able to deliver that way. So yeah. Now, thanks for your feedback.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, actually, the requirement goes through the product owners, and in the agile methodology, the Scrum Master write it up all the requirements in the Jira board, and the tech lead will have all the strategic objective drilled down from the higher up, and the requirement is being laid out in the backlog, and the requirements are pretty much clear, and then the acceptance criterias are written down in a very kind of either Gherkin codes or stuff like that. I don't know if you are aware about that. So, and then so yeah, it is very complicated, and these are all products which are customized products built on a years and years work, and in this kind of big data work is not really like using the normal ETL kind of thing. These are very kind of Java and Python based kind of customized project. So, and it is very complicated. Um, and there are many other intermediate products and dependencies, and then there are environments set it up, and then there are on-premise cloud, public cloud, and customized cloud. So yeah, it's very complicated integration, but it is system integration, and it is some of them are like a very real-time system using Kafka, where you have consumers and producers, and then the moment the data is landed, it just goes across where it needs to be. And then on the top of that, companies have a requirement of, we call them business analytics, and then also machine learning, AI, and stuff like that. So as a very like huge level, big data level system integration. So just a thoughts, yeah.
No, that's very interesting. And you mentioned AI and all these other things. Look, definitely the this project that you're talking about, just to get the requirements might have taken a while, right? You mentioned the Azure the user stories and all that stuff. I mean, I'm thinking just the architect diagram of this, right, would be, would take some time to think and make, right? Correct me
Yeah.
if I'm wrong, but just the solution architect person, he would have thought, like a lot of things. He would have had a lot of meetings. He would have had, a lot of, time and discussion with people in the business, and maybe even people outside the business, to get a good understanding, or to make a good integration architect diagram for this, and then obviously, and then starts the user stories and all those type of things, and then eventually, then you hire the developers for the development to start. So, so it's a very interesting project, and yeah, and that's so you're the developer there, is that right, Abdul
Yeah,
Rahim?
yeah. I'm a big data developer, and I also work in the data analytics and business intelligence as
Interesting.
well. Yeah.
Very true in business intelligence. So you're talking about reports like Tableau or Power
Yeah.
BI and those type of things. Yep. Interesting. Very interesting. That's a very good project. And
Yeah,
and I'm assuming this project is.
one
Yep.
more thing to share just with the audience. There are some products, not to mention the name, but just in general, is which allow you to write a business logics, and then is a UI based kind of business logics, and then that is converted in a type of a jar, and then you integrate that jar within the repository, and you run against the data, and where it satisfies the business logic, it mark that data record as per the business logic, and those are used for the data analytics. So this is a bit very complicated kind of integrate as well.
No, that's very good. And now you probably know why people here, they know why some integration developers, they get paid good money because of these type of approaches. You know what I mean? Like if you're dealing with complex systems, and if you're dealing with a lot of data, if you're dealing with a whole bunch of things, and you just from all the way from the architect level, project management, to the business analysis, to the developers, to the testers, this whole thing, when it comes to complex projects, integration projects, it's a bit of a challenging approach, but eventually, I'm assuming Abdul Rahim, that your project is at least 3 months. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be less than 3 months. It'll be at least a 3 month project, and maybe a year, maybe 6 months or a 2 year project, or something like that. I'm assuming. I mean, from end to end, from beginning, from the architect all the way to the actual implementation. I would say it's at least 3 month project. Is that correct?
Um, it is a long running project, ongoing development, and
Yeah,
we
that's what I'd say.
we
It's at least a
we
3 month, because it's a complex
we
project. So yeah.
yeah, and there are different stakeholders and different technical experts, and all those works together, and all the requirements being laid it down in a parallel fashion, and where it is understood and made it available in a 2 week sprint of agile environment. And then there's a deployment in the sit environment, and then the UAT and the production, and then we got full CI/CD pipeline, and then proper security testing, quality assurance, and then the testing and validation, and then the writing a Q test. So it's a very, very, very professional end-to-end kind of
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
No, that's true. No, I understand. It's a whole end to end, and I think the company that you work for has got a good strategy implemented, and yeah, and as I said, some integration projects can go to a year or more, integration, data migration, and it just depends on the complexity of the project. Thanks for your feedback, Abdul Rahim Khan. Jamil Versi, did you like the presentation? Was it have you been involved in any integration projects or anything like that?
Yeah, hello. Yeah. To be honest, I kind of joined late, and yeah, I'm in London, but to be honest, no, my background isn't really into the stuff you do, application integration. My background is more like systems and networks, more on the system side. I really just wanted to get some idea of what you guys do, and it's just good to know. So I mean, in terms of my knowledge of this area is, not, I'm not really that involved in that. But yeah, I just wanted to see one of your seminars and see what it's about. And yeah, I've learned a lot, just to get an idea what you guys do. And yeah, so really, I technically I can't uh, contribute in this at the moment.
Thanks for that, Jamil. Thanks for joining all the way from UK, from London. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Thanks for that. I'm in Sydney, and I'm assuming there's probably I'm in Sydney, Australia. I'm assuming there's people in from other parts of the country here. But yeah, look, you know, a lot of companies throughout the last 10, 15 years have been investing a lot in digital transformation, in integration. And now you would see some very good applications out there, both private companies and both government, applications where you see, like for example, and there's even application development tools that are very, that can be very handy. Like you got, for example, like a lot of tools. You got some tools like MuleSoft or Power Automate Flows, which has a lot of connectors, and it saves your time a lot in development. And that's a thing, what I mean? Because the reason why you would use connectors is you don't want to code everything from scratch, right? If why reinvent the wheel when the wheel is already there, right? You want to take advantage of using the wheel as much as possible and using everything out of that with and getting delivery done as quick as possible with the minimum amount of code as possible. Sometimes you got to develop code, but there's sometimes you don't have to develop code. And therefore, why reinvent the wheel? Why do the whole coding from beginning to scratch and everything? Why hire a full-time developer and make your project 2-3 years long and with all this coding when you got connectors, you got all these other systems that can help you with your application integration? So I mean, this is why there's all these tools out there, and MuleSoft and Dell Boomi and Power Automate Flows, Logic Apps. These are used very heavily. Like I'm talking about very heavily, both in many organizations. So yeah. So thanks for the feedback, Jamil. Really appreciate it. Mohammed Suleiman, can I get your update? Have you worked on any integration projects, or have you how was this webinar? Did you find it useful? Any feedback? Mohammed Suleiman? We can't hear you, Mohammed Suleiman.
Hello.
Yes. How did you like this feedback, Mohammed Suleiman?
Sir,
Yeah.
I'm basically a computer science fifth semester student plus learning cybersecurity like red teaming. I want to
Yep.
learn like in what's happening in the world in the IT industry or what's happening in that regarding field. That's why I'm here. I like attend these like of these kind of like webinars and learning. I'm in a learning phase basically. So
No, that's good. And Mohammed Suleiman, your time in graduating and coming into the real world is a very exciting time, right? We got tools such as AI. We got a lot of applications out there. We got cloud. We got integration softwares. We have like CRM softwares. We got a lot of things. I mean, think about it. Google just came out. I wouldn't say Google, like the peak of Google was not until about 20-30 years ago, right? And that's when internet started developing, and and all these, there was not much tools out there that time to do a lot of these things, right? Integration and CRMs and digital transformations. But now we have a lot of tools, right? And it's just a matter of some of these tools might be, you know, in Western countries, they're a bit more affordable for companies, especially big companies. But in countries such as like India or Pakistan or Bangladesh, I'm not sure if these tools are that much affordable, but some people might still purchase it. You never know. But definitely, you're graduating a good time, and do come to these webinars and get a lot of knowledge from IT, because this is a really exciting time to be in. So yeah, thanks for your feedback, Mohammed Sulaiman.
Sir,
Yep.
sir, I want to raise that point. In India or in Pakistan, you said it's can't affordable or costly. Uh, in my opinion, it's like a vital role of awareness. In Pakistan, or I would say in uh, India is not that part. Like India is fast growing in IT industry, and in Bangladesh, like in Afghanistan, we all are people are less aware than the Europe and then the Australia or USA or UK. Like that's why we can't afford, or we can't equally pay like role in that like IT industry or something like tools like that.
Yep. No, that's true. But if you look at the concept in Australia and UK or Europe or America or even China, a lot of outsourcing work to overseas is being done, right? And therefore, what's that doing? That's creating a job creation in Pakistan and in India and in Bangladesh and maybe other countries as well, such as Vietnam, Philippines. So that's creating a lot of job creations there, right? And that's the good thing about, you know, I'm not sure. Are you in Pakistan? Are you in India or Pakistan? Where are you located, Mohammed Sulaiman?
Pakistan, sir. I mean Pakistan.
Pakistan, yeah. So what happens is that certain projects that are in Western countries, Pakistani or Indian or Bangladesh or Philippine or Vietnamese developers are developing, right? And then what happens there is that then a lot of these products that we're talking about, like MuleSoft, Salesforce, a lot of Pakistanis and Indians get exposure to these products, right? And that's the good thing, right? Because it's not just these tools are being used in Western countries because of outsourcing and all of these things. A lot of these tools, a lot of Indian and Pakistani and Bangladeshi developers, they know about these type of tools as well, which is good. And definitely it's a good industry to get into. But I definitely do say that if you're using a tool such as like MuleSoft or something like that, or definitely you should find an expert that knows how to use it, or you should find someone at least that's interested in learning it before you give him the task, right? For example, you might have a very complex system integration, right? But you hired someone that doesn't know anything about system integration. Maybe, I don't know if that's the right approach. Maybe you might have to hire someone that has at least 1 or 2 years experience and at least have some exposure where you know, complex system integration is a bit more you know, easier to approach. I'm just giving an example. So yeah. So thanks for that, Mohammed Sulaiman. Really appreciate it. Ali Kanani, what do you think of system integration, application integration, and do you have any exposure to that at all?
Hey, Murtaza. I'm Ali from India, and I have been working in IT industry since 2015. So I'm having around 8+ years of experience where I have been providing technical support to global clients. It includes integration of different systems like CRM system, ERP system, marketing automation tools, other ad tech channels that I need to integrate within the platform, like ad tech channels. So, yeah, I have a good exposure on application support for SaaS-based products, and I have a great experience on that part where I have been providing support to global clients.
That's very good. No, this industry is very good to be in. Ali Kanani, it's a very good industry, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of projects out there. And yeah, now you're in a good environment, and yeah, as I said, India right now, India, Pakistan, these areas, there's a lot of IT jobs out there, and yeah, very interesting business to be in, and yeah. All right. I guess that's about it. So anyone has any other questions or answers, or sorry, anyone have any other questions or anything like that before we wrap up?
Hey, Murtaza, I have a question. Like, I have
Yep.
joined this call late little bit, so I don't know about much about your organization, and I'm also looking for some freelancing projects. So could you please give some insights how you can help me and how your organization is working in this field?
Yeah, sure. There's what you can do is you can I don't know if you have my WhatsApp number. You can message me after that, and I can give you some hints and tips of where to find
Yeah,
some
sure.
freelancing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Thank you, Murtaza.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for that, and I hope you enjoyed this webinar. And yeah, and today's Sunday, so make sure you have an ice cream before you finish Sunday, because you can't enjoy your weekend without an ice cream. So have one ice cream and get ready for starting work the next week. So enjoy your weekend, and yeah, and have a good weekend. Thanks. Cheers.
Yeah, you too. Thank
Bye.
you very much. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.